Alright, time for the finals game of GPC. And we have Scribble versus Neon. Neon is playing a Mabel deck. It's Jeskai Princess, I think. Yeah, it's Jeskai Princess. It's a Jeskai Flash deck that plays Commanding Princess as its top end, as Mabel, because, all your cards have Flash or are instant, so you can play that thing. Meanwhile, Scribble is on Grixis Temple. I mean, it's a Temple deck. What else do I have to say? So they're like both decks that play very much at instant speed. So this will be an interesting matchup. It's mostly going to come down to how each player is going to manage to position their way through this. So Scribble keeps a 7 with no 1-drop, but they do have plenty of interaction. Like they have 3 pieces of removal, plus a Here With You to refill afterwards. I mean, keeping this much removal against a deck that... no, Neon also plays a bunch of creatures, so the removal isn't even that bad. Seems like Neon will decide to Mabel though. And yeah, Neon is still thinking about what to Mabel. Well, they can't Mabel away if the lands, right? They probably will Mabel away one of the 2-drops, maybe. That feels like the most logical thing to go for. And I guess you probably just switch out the Agent of Deception because that's the least good one. No, I guess you could also just Mabel out the Aethermancer's Familiar because that thing's really weak into removal. If you play Aethermancer's Familiar trying to target one of your guides and then your opponent removes it in response, then you basically lose a bunch of value. Oh wait, was Neon already done Mabeling? I can't tell. I'm not paying enough attention. Okay, they were suffering from mouse problems, I see. Scribble starts off with turn 1 Renewal Grove untapped. Neon draws a land. They have turn 1 Antis's Accomplice, which is, well, it's not as good in this matchup because like flashing at the end of your opponent's turn is pretty nice, but when your opponent is also playing almost completely at instant speed, flashing it in matters a lot less. And Scribble draws Destructive Ambition. It's a 2-mana counter spell that counters most cards in Neon's deck, but doesn't counter the important ones like Lost to Dream. Okay, never mind. Doesn't counter a lot of stuff in Neon's deck. So that's end of turn Antithesis Accomplice. Let's see if Scribble responds to that. I don't think Scribble does though. Like they're just going to. Well, actually, is there a point? I mean, they let this resolve. They kill it on Neon's end step or something. I mean, Neon's just going to keep up mana. Agent Deception will be able to snag something, right? Unless it's controller plays X. Yeah, Agent Deception is countering unless Scribble pays 2, so that will be able to counter a removal spell if Neon wants to go for that. Scribble is going to go for Rogar's Frenzy. Let's see if Neon taps out to protect the Antithesis. Nope, they're just going to let their 1/1 die. Which, fair enough, like, Scribble wasted 2 mana to kill 1-drop. Another Rogar's Frenzy off the top. Scribble is just going to play Crystal Cavern and pass. And Neon is going to fetch end of turn. They can flash in something. Oh no, there's nothing good to flash in end of turn. Maybe they should have gone for Agent of Deception. I mean, it taps them out, so maybe they were afraid of Scribble having some sort of follow-up. And Neon draws another land. Well, they have Mabel mana now, so they can just hold up Mabel and pass the turn pretty happily about while holding up some more counter spells and stuff. They also have, yeah, they have a 2-drop plus a Cosmic Sinkhole. And Scribble is going to flash back Rogar's Frenzy, and that's ability, so it can't be countered. And that suddenly puts a clock on Neon because, yeah, Neon has to interact with the board now because or else it's going to be 2 damage per turn. So Neon can't just hold up their spells forever. I'm assuming the elementals are going to run into Mabel though. I mean, yeah, does Neon just take the obvious Mabel play here? It does lose pretty bad to counter spells, but at the same time, like, your opponent knows you have Mabel, might as well just play it out, right? It's not like you have anything else better. Yeah, Neon just plays the Mabel. And Scribble, luckily for Neon, Scribble does not have a good way to counter that right now. So Mabel will be able to land and draw a card. So that's something at least. Scribble will be able to kill the Mabel. Is that good for them? I mean, Scribble can also Here With You or something. Okay, Scribble is just going to end of turn Rogar's Frenzy to Mabel, farming it mid-combat before damage. So yeah, before blocks. So I mean, Scribble is sort of tapped out now, so if Neon wants to slam something, they can. Although they don't really have anything great to slam. They can play Secrets of Corelight Court or something, and they just pass. Assuming they're holding up Agent Deception plus Lost Through Dreams. Agent only taxes them for 1 though at this point. Bossfire Geysers, Scribble's mana base is not cooperating super nicely because now this thing still comes to play tap because Scribble doesn't have basic Island or Mountain. But I mean, Scribble's smacking Neon for 2 damages turn again. And Neon just ends up turn cantrips. Let's see if they draw into anything useful. And then there's Secret of Corelight Court. Okay, I guess they could just keep cantripping then. And eventually secrets are going to come back and make their spells uncounterable, which would be really nice for them. And they're going to reprise secrets onto... Okay, yeah, so that draws them 2 cards. Yeah, that's really good for them. And they draw Aether Mass's Familiars with no targets. So, I mean, once they find a princess, did he draw another land? Okay, so they still have enough counter spells to hold off Neon's assault, but... Or, I mean, Scribble is still attacking turn after turn, and Neon has no ways to stop those guys. They still have a grip full of counter spells, but counter spells aren't very useful when your opponent already has a board. And Scribble is going to end of turn flashback Rogar's Frenzy again, and that's 4/1/1s that Neon has to deal with eventually. I think eventually Neon will just be forced to play down Aether Mass's Familiars for no value and use it to block. Renewal Grove gets Scribble their 5th mana. I mean, at this point, like, Scribble is also holding Destructive Ambition, which means that Neon trying to flash in monocolor chumpers is not going to work out super well for them, because that's just going to be more damage to face. So Scribble connects, and Neon, let's see what they get. Cosmic Cinco. Yep, they're in the classic trap of a counter-heavy deck that keeps drawing counter spells while the opponent has creatures on board. You really hate to see it. I wonder when Neon's going to start getting desperate. I have to imagine desperation's setting in soon. So I mean, Scribble now can end up turn Chill and Gust the opponent, and so that gets them. So Chill and Gust is 3 damage. Cane Dancer getting it back is 6 damage, and that would be lethal. Okay, Scribble is going to hear with you. You get more tokens into play. Let's see if Neon counters this. I think at this point, like, they probably should be trying to counter it, because like they already have all this stuff. Might as well dump. Huh, interesting. They're not going to try to Agent Deception. I feel like probably should have Agent Deception just because it gets something on board, and then it gives you a target for your Aether Massive Familiars. So now your Aether Massive Familiars are also acting as mana leaks or whatever. They're going to hold priority. They're thinking, okay, interesting. And they're going to, yeah, that makes it uncounterable. And even draws him a card, so yeah, that's pretty good. It seems like Scribble managed to bait out the counterspell with Here With You, because now the counterspells aren't hitting the Chilon Gust, which will be lethal if not dealt with. But maybe Neon draws some good cards off the top, off the single of Corelight Court. Yeah, Scribble can throw out a Chilon Gust right now if they want. Oh, good point. Yeah, so Lost Your Dreams, if it counters a non-creature card, then you put a Fatigue on top of your deck, and Scripts of Corelight Court will draw afterwards, which will draw the Fatigue into their hand. It seems like they're doing a judge call, and it's probably a good idea too, because, I mean, I'm not a qualified judge, so maybe I'm wrong. And judge call resolved. Looks like it works the way that we think it does, which means Neon, like, this play does not actually save Neon that much. They're still dead to Chilon Gust. And Chilon Gust actually plays around a single Agent Deception too. So I think Neon's just dead. I don't think Neon can stop the lethal next turn. I think Scribble should try to throw out Chilon Gust right now. I mean, it's not like they're doing anything else with that mana. Yep, seems like that's what they're doing. So now, yeah, Scribble just swings out and then Cane Dances and has enough mana to pay for all of Neon's possible counter spells. I think Scribble has game 1 unlock right now. And yep, so Scribble swinging out with Neon trying to flash an Aether Mass's Familiar. Well, that's going to get countered by Destructive Ambition and also smack Neon in the face for 2 while at it. Not that it matters because Cane Dancer already does the job, but just an extra insult to injury, because why not? Yep, so 2 to face, and Neon concedes. Yep, so Scribble takes game 1. Let's look at the sideboards. So on Neon's side, since it's a non-creature matchup, you definitely want some more Spell Pierces, but the opponent also plays a decent chunk of creatures, so maybe you want some Soul Pierces or something. Is Chandrine's Command good? Yeah, Chandrine's Command's quite good. I mean, it kills creatures. The opponent could have some pretty big flash creatures. It's generally good in these sorts of tempo matchups. And on Scribble's side, I mean, Chandrine's Rage is surprisingly good against Neon's deck because they have a bunch of 1 toughness guys, so Chandrine's Rage is pretty good at sweeping up the board. Although I'm not sure if sweeping up the board is what you want to be doing against the opponent's deck. Like, you're still the faster deck here, right? So maybe you want to go faster than the opponent. Other than that, you bring in 4 Still Pandemoniums because this is a spell-heavy, counter-spell heavy matchup. Reminiscence, probably not that useful, although it does shuffle back some graveyard stuff, right? Like, Neon does have graveyard stuff, right? They have Command Princess, which brings back stuff from graveyard, and they have Secrets of Corelight Court, which is graveyard stuff, I guess. I'm not sure if it's worth it to bring in Reminiscence, though. I mean, maybe it is better just, like, it is a value card in the matchup where it could matter, and it's probably better than some random removal, but then again, other removal also counts as burn, so I don't think there's anything that great that they want to board out. Maybe some of them have Crests. Like Crest isn't good against a deck whose creatures all have ETBs. So maybe board out some amount of Crests to bring in all the Still the Pandemoniums and stuff. Still leaves no room for the other sideboard cards, but I guess you don't really need them. Neon's really the one that needs to think more about sideboarding, because they need to think about how much removal to bring in against the temple deck versus how much on-stacker interaction they want, or like non-creature interaction. Because again, Spell Pierces don't hit creatures, so if you bring in too many Spell Pierces, you're gonna get punished by the opponent's flash creatures. So let's see. Scribbl draws their opening hand. It looks like quite a good opening hand. I mean, they have Cosmic Sinkhole on 1 into their flash creatures on 2, like Veilborn Meddler. Cosmic into Veilborn is a pretty classic curve. Neon on the other hand has 1 land. That's really scary. I don't think they can keep this. They mulligan and they get, I mean, 2 lands, but they have I think they keep this. They probably also they probably switch in, like, swap Commanding Princess for Mabel, maybe. I'm assuming they're going to Sandrines on 3 though, so yeah, like, what are they bottoming? I mean, they already bottomed. Yeah, what are they swapping in for Mabel? Are they just not going to Mabel this turn? I mean, all the cards are pretty good. Maybe Event Horizon is an odd one out, because it doesn't actually kill what you needed to. Okay, they did swap out Commanding Princess. So Neon starts off with turn 1 Island, holding up a Cosmic Sinkhole. Scribble draws Rogar's Frenzy, and they're probably going to turn 1 Renewal Grove and hold up a Cosmic Sinkhole. I wonder if Scribble has a red-black land that they can fetch, because that would probably be the best thing to fetch right now. How did Scribble build their mana base? Oh, they don't have a red-black land. Interesting. Okay, so Flooded Depths won't be able to fetch red-black, which means that they can't do something like fetch for a single island and then fetch red-black and have all their colors accessible. They're gonna have to pick and choose whether they'll be able to cast black spells or red spells. Scribble is going to Flooded Depths and fetch it turn 1. Interesting. Are they grabbing Ares Pillar early? That interesting if they do that. No, they're going to grab Frostfire if Geyser is tapped. And I guess Renewal Grove is fetching black. Okay, I guess that also gets all their colors. Probably they don't get to hold Cosmic Sinkhole on 1. So if Neon wants to jam a 2-drop, then that'd be a good time to do it. But unfortunately, Neon has nothing great on 2 to jam, so they're just going to hold. And Scribble's holding a handful of answers and some temple threats. But I don't think Scribble those cards aren't cards that you want to play proactively. You want to play them reactively so that they counter something as they come down before become big threats. If Neon just does nothing for a while, then I think Scribble will be forced to at least play these guys out, because I think the long game does favor Neon, right? They're more control-y than Scribble. Like, 4-mana Commanding Princesses are probably, like, if Scribble can't run away with the game, run away with these Veilborn Meddlers getting little encounters, then the Command Princesses will be what controls the game. So Scribble probably wants to get on board before it. Did they? Okay, so Neon tried to Sebring Null-Mage fetch land activation, and Scribble Cosmic Sinkles it in response. That is quite good for them, because now Neon's tapped out. Unfortunately, again, Scribble does not have any great things that they can slam while the opponent's tapped out, because all their cards are reactive. So they're just going to pass the turn and let Neon untap. Neon really needs a land right now, and they don't get the land they need. That's unfortunate for them. I guess they just hold up end of turn Antithesis Accomplice. I guess if Scribble gets a bit cocky, Forbidden Treasure can come down and eat up a Rogar's Frenzy. Forbidden Treasure on Rogar's Frenzy is probably one of the best targets you could ask for, because it's also relevant in the graveyard. Like, Forbidden Treasure on Destructive Ambition is also kind of nice, but yeah, I mean, you definitely Forbidden Treasure here because it spends your mana perfectly and snags a card that actually has graveyard relevance. And it also lets you see your opponent's hand, so which gives Neon some more information, like, so that they know what to play around. Although, like, it's not like they can really play around much. Well, they know that the opponent doesn't have Cosmic Sinkhole, so that's something that is relevant. And let's see how Scribble boarded. They did bring in all 4 Chaldrain's Rages, and all 4 still. What did they cut then? They cut the crests. They cut anything else? They cut the Here With Yous. Okay, I see. Yeah, maybe Here With You isn't the greatest in such an instant speed heavy matchup. Because, like, the strongest thing you can do with Here With You is end up turn it on your opponent's turn, because then you untap and get to use the cards first. Scribble draws Still the Pandemonium, so they have plenty of counter spells. Exiling the Rogar's Frenzy is quite nice for Neon too, because in the future they don't have to worry about uncounterable creatures coming down. Neon can just sit back and hold up other counter spells. So this might just be a long game. Well, it won't be too long if Neon keeps missing on lands, because then they'll just eventually get overwhelmed. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, we are hoping for a long fought game here, right? Like that's what we come to see if we want. We see two instant speed decks to head. Oh, Scribble is going to go for a main phase Veilborn Meddler. There's nothing backing it up. Well, if Neon top deck a land here, then no, they didn't. Okay, that's really unfortunate because now they can't even kill Veilborn Meddler. Event Horizon only works if... Okay, so Neon's digging for lands. Do they get the land they need? It's a tap land, but at least it's a land. So next turn they'll have something. But now Neon's tapped out for another turn. Fortunately, Scribble can't do anything too insane. Yeah, they're still stuck on 3 lands, so they can't double spell with their Cane Dancers and friends. They can only single spell currently. And Neon finally gets their 3rd land and 4th land with Spell Pierce plus a 2-mana spell is what they can do right now. Well, I bet it's best to pass. Yeah. So now they have Event Horizon plus a Cosmic Sinkhole for backup. Let's see if Scribble does anything end of turn. Can flash in another Veilborn Meddler, but they're tapped out of counters if they do that. Might be useful enough though. Okay, Scribble does end of turn Veilborn. Let's see if Neon responds with the Event Horizon. They can also respond with the Sandrine's command if they're betting on the opponent not having Cosmic Sinkhole. Like Sandrine would kill Veilborn and also getting you 3 life. Neon's thinking, do they want to counter this? They don't. Okay, now they Event Horizon, the 2-2. I think they definitely do that here. I guess they can also Mabel if they want to. Nope, they let Scribble untap. Okay, that's an interesting play. I'm not sure how I feel about that because even if the opponent did have Cosmic Sinkhole, you can still Event Horizon the Veilborn. So I guess they're playing around Spell Pierce. Does Scribble have Spell? No, Scribble doesn't have Spell Pierce. There's literally no way for them to punish you for trying to Event Horizon there because you can still pay for Cosmic and yeah, I don't know why you didn't Event Horizon. What are you trying to hold up? Are you trying to hold up a Mabel into this board state? I don't think that's the best idea. Okay, so Scribble just passes again. Neon can end up turning Flash and Antithesis if they want to not commit too much. That still plays around Cosmic Sinkhole mostly. Neon does seem to be thinking about Antithesis at least. Yep, they do that. Let's see if Scribble lets that happen. I mean, if Scribble tries to interact with this and it goes through, then okay. So Neon does. Scribble lets it go through. Does Neon tap out again this turn so to trigger Antithesis? I mean that. Okay, so now you're just playing straight into the counter spells. But at least you got the opponent to use at least Neon got Scribble to use counter spells on their turn, so it doesn't trigger the Veilborn Meddlers. I mean, Scribble definitely counters this, right? No point in not countering it. And once they use their first counter spell, it now enables Cane Dancer to become counter spells, which makes the Cane Dancer suddenly a lot better. Neon, yep. So that happens. Antithesis does get to loot now. Let's see if they get anything useful from that. They get Aethermancer's Familiar. I don't think that's very useful right now. Going to discard Cosmic Sinkhole. Interesting. I guess it's because it's just worse than Spell Pierce against spells, but now you're kind of soft to creatures. Okay, Neon does get their 4th land, so they can Chandrine's command and still have enough to pay for Cosmic on 1. I think you just Chandrine's here. Nope, they're still not going to Chandrine's. Interesting. I guess they really want to trigger Antithesis Accomplice. Scribble also gets their 4th land on time, so now both players have 4 mana. Scribble can double spell now. Finally, with her 2-drops, makes them a lot more threatening. Scribble just passes without attacking. Okay, I guess Neon is going to take this opportunity to play down Mabel or something. Nope, Neon does just waste their mana. Okay, interesting. I'm not sure how to feel about that, but sure. Antithesis Compass swings in for 1, and let's see if Scribble does any shenanigans in that turn. I mean, they have to, right? They do need to buff their available Meddlers. Best time to do that is end of turn shenanigans, so that even if the opponent tries to respond, at least just get them tap and do something right away. Elon Gust, yep. And they're trying to kill Antithesis Accomplice, which makes sense. I'm assuming Leon just lets it go. Like, there's no point in spending resources to protect that guy. Seems like Neon agrees with that, so but the available Mellors are now 3/3s. So actually Neon can pretty safely go for Sandrine's command right now to get rid of one of these guys. I mean, they have Spell Pierce backup in case the opponent tries to play a counter spell against them. I think that Neon probably should go for that, because otherwise, like, these guys are going to grow out of control. They still pass. Okay, interesting. Scribble's also up to 5 mana now. I think Scribble is in a much better position right now because Neon just spent all their time not doing anything. So now they have access to, well, I mean, going to 5 mana doesn't give them any more access because all their stuff has 2 mana, so they're still double spelling. Now Neon plays Mabel after Scribble already has all their mana tapped and is able to double spell. And they drop Spin Treasure. Either Matches Familiar isn't going to be very useful because Mabel is just going to die. So I guess if Neon doesn't block with Mabel, it's going to survive, and then that gives a target for Aethermancers. I don't see why they're flashing it right now, unless they're planning on blocking Veilborn here. Okay, Neon's just going to snap it off right away. Gain answer to kill Mabel, and I mean, Neon can't do anything about that because the opponent is not tapped out enough for Spell Pierce to do stuff. And now Kane Dancer's in play. It also shuts off Sandrine's command. So yeah, Neon's in quite some trouble right now. I guess they can still get back into the game if they like top deck and manage to resolve a commanding princess, because commanding princess has a lot of insane effects. Neon is not going to fetch now. They probably should right now fetch now. I feel like. Do they have any mana lands that they want to fetch? Possibly. No, they don't. So yeah, they should be fetching now. They do. Okay, good. And they're going to grab all their colors. Super No Mage, not very useful right now. Well, actually no, it does counter Kane Dancer trigger. That's something. Actually counters Slippery Assassin ETB too. Yeah, I mean, actually this card's better than I thought. You can Aether Massive Familiar it to get some extra triggers off the ETB. I think if you're Neon, you just pass here. Although, to be fair, like, they can try to, like, opponent only has 3 mana tap, so they can probably get a spell through with Spell Pierce. But it seems like they're still not taking the risk. They're just going to keep holding cards in hand. I'm not a big fan of that play because it's just not going to work out. You can't play this passive against the Temple deck. That's exactly what the Temple deck wants to happen. For you to hold basically everything in hand while still getting beaten down. The Temple deck is just super far ahead on Temple, I guess is the best way to put it. The Sundry's command, I was saying that probably going to be the gain life mode, but I feel like Graveyard Exile is probably, the Graveyard Exile mode is probably way better because it gets rid of Kane Dancer targets for the future. Okay, Scribbl's tapping out. They're going to Slippery Assassin. Interesting, they're going to Slippery Assassin into nothing. What's Scribble trying to do with this play? Are you trying to get ahead of something? Well, now Sandrine's command comes out, and what they're going to price Secrets of the Coilite Court onto it. Interesting. I'm not sure how to think about that. I feel like it would. I still feel like it would have been better to just like hold up one of your counter spells instead of going out like this. And they choose sack a creature, gain life. I feel like you should be exiling the opponent's graveyard to get rid of Kane Dancer targets. Oh, what do I know? The Neon draws, but now they're tapped out again. Yeah, I'm not sure about that play. And Scribble still has their giant board. Like, yeah, they're swinging in for 8 damage this turn. I don't think this was a winning play. And your opponent still has all their mana tapped, so like you can't even answer the board without risking the opponent having counter spells for your stuff. I don't see how Neon's answering the board with this hand. Let's see what they draw. More lands. Well, unfortunately, Seaburn and Almage is not very useful when your opponent does not have things that it can counter, because all the things that it can counter are already in play and have already triggered. Another Veilborn Meddler. Well, if Scribble just swings in for lethal here, and Neon is forced to start playing out with the chump blockers, is not where you want to be when you're playing Neon's deck. You want to be using your creatures for value, not as chumpers. And never mind. I think Scribble still wins here. So Neon plays out all their creatures. They're all 1 toughness, so then Scribble just drains Rage and wipes the board. Neon can try to snap back with Forbidden Treasure, but Scribble can just still Pandemonium it, and then that's game over. Can they? No, Neon has Spell Pierce. Okay, so they do get the last word. No, Neon does not have Spell Pierce plus Forbidden Treasure. Okay, yeah, Neon just dies. Yep, all the creatures dissolve. Assuming this is going to be a before block Shell Range Rage absolute blowout. Alright, and there's the Shell Range Rage. Neon snaps back with Forbidden Treasure, and Scribble counters with Still the Pandemonium. And that's game. And that means Scribble is the winner of this month's GP. Is this Scribble's first GP win? Like, they've been in the finals for so many times. Well, I mean, congratulations to this month's GP winner, I guess. I don't really have much more to say. I think Neon did play a bit too passively in those games. They definitely should be. They were wasting a lot of mana just by not spending they were passing their turn with other mana untapped, and then they didn't go to their own turn. Like, they should be more aggressively jamming stuff out, because like even if it does get countered, at least you spent your mana and made your opponent spend their mana. And yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that they didn't draw any princesses, but there was definitely things they could have done to give them more time to draw into the princesses. Anyways, I won't dwell on that too much. So yeah, that was this month's GP MSEM GP. Yay. Congrats to Scribble for winning finally.